Hi everyone. Let's see if I can get this adjusted here. Hi, how are you? Happy Monday. My name is Kylene, Terhune, Functional Diagnostic Nutrition Practitioner. I had a topic come up the other day that I thought, why don't I share this with my audience? It's something that I haven't really talked about a whole lot. And to be really honest with you, I'm typically a people pleaser, and I know that this is a little bit of a touchy subject when it comes to parenting. So let me just preference this with, I'm not telling anybody how to parent. However, when it comes to how I run my household and how we eat well and how I get my kids to eat well, or my child to eat well, that's a question that comes up a lot because I work with a lot of women, most of which are parents and who struggle with this issue. So I do get this question a lot. And so instead of being afraid of sharing my opinion for fear of judgment, I figured it's time to just share my opinion, and then you guys can take it or leave it. Hi Melissa, hi Ashley. So for fear of alienating some people, but hopefully also empowering others, I wanted to tell you how I approach this in my house. So I was recently invited to be on the podcast 30/30 Health. If you guys have not subscribed to that podcast, please do. My good friend Guillermo runs it. He only interviews amazing people, and I actually was totally fanning out on his podcast before I even met him and before I got invited on the podcast, and it was totally amazing to actually meet him in real life and then subsequently get invited to be on. Hi Patricia. So I was just so excited to be on that. And he asked me this question. He said, okay, Kylene, he's like, you have a family, you have a child in the house, so how do you navigate this? And I said, well, Guillermo, to be honest, my answer may offend a lot of people and it may empower a lot of people, but I'm just going to tell you how I do it. And this is the answer, you guys. Are you ready? Hi, Christopher. So in my house, you eat what I make. That's the end of the story. There are no options. I am not a restaurant. My child does not get an opinion on dinner unless I ask ahead of time, hey, is there something that you particularly are wanting me to make this week? Hi, Ashley. And even then, of course, I have the option, hi, Amanda, to say no. So my option and my prerogative as a parent is what? It is to lead him down the road that I think is the most healthy. Hi, Ashley, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, because I and Patrick are the guides, are the leaders in our household. So you do that by establishing what that means, right? And you also have to be a leader by action. So obviously, hi, Sammy, obviously, Patrick and I lead by example. We eat healthy in our house. We only buy healthy foods. We make good decisions in terms of our health. So what would that mean, hi Cheyenne, in terms of raising a teenager if I said, mom is going to eat this way, but you can have macaroni and cheese because I don't actually value your health as much as I value mine. The other message that it would send to him is that, he shouldn't value himself. He should not make his health a priority. He should not make the effort. But what I do by demonstrating first and then providing second is create this lifestyle, create this expectation that I expect my child to raise to this level of prioritizing himself and his own health because I prioritize myself and my own health. And then I make the choice of what to feed him, and he has no other option except to go hungry. So that sounds super offensive to a lot of people. I have actually met a lot of parents and a lot of moms who, hi Michael, hi Raleigh, I have met a lot of parents, hi Joni, who tell me that it's a real struggle because their kids will throw a fit. They have texture issues, or they will cry, or they say they don't want that, and then they simply won't eat the food. With very, 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 very few exceptions, and those are typically way extreme, with very few exceptions, if any, your children will eat when they are hungry enough. And if you are not willing to lead by example, then their lifestyle will never change. So I do not have the option of, if you cry enough, I will make you something else. If you cry enough, you're going to go to your room and then you will eat when you are hungry enough. So the option in my house is to raise to the level of expectation, and that is that you are polite, respectful, and you eat what is put in front of you. Sounds super mean, but the other thing I want to encourage you guys is that if you are able to push through when your children are young enough that they really don't have, you know, like it's harder to do, like if your kid was like 14, 15, 16, and really at the age of rebellion and starting to create their own lifestyle and their own opinions and really start becoming an adult and pushing back. And they have the right at that point to begin doing those things, to sort of start coming into themselves. If you wait, it's just gonna get harder. If you're changing a kid's diet at like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, their mind is so malleable at that point. Their taste buds change within probably days. And they are so flexible that if you just stick to your guns for a few days, they're gonna start craving the apples. They're gonna start asking for this. The other thing with that is, I'm not saying to make it miserable. Like, that's not the point here. I try really hard to make food that is delicious, and I don't get complaints. I don't get complaints from my family. I maybe rarely get some critiques from Keegan. He'll tell me if something's a little chewy or a little off, but he'll say, oh, but it's still good. But this isn't, this wasn't how it was in the beginning. When I met Keegan, he was 7 years old. And so there is this whole balance there, right? That I'm his stepmom. And he chose to call me mom, and he views me as his mom and all this kind of stuff, which we are very, very blessed. But there was this transition period of, mental, emotional, and physical adjustment where we all lived together, and we all sort of had to kind of blend into this family. And then all of a sudden I come in a few years into it, and I'm like, hey, we're changing our whole health. This kid was like addicted to Cheez-Its and the little fish, I was gonna say the little fish crackers, goldfish, and ice cream, all this kind of stuff and pretzels, all this kind of stuff that he really, really liked. Hi, Abigail. And that was really addictive to him and comforting to him. Hi, Kelsey, and all these things. And so it was a transition. And I'm not saying to go, let's go from McDonald's to, salads for your kids, okay? I'm not saying do this in like a 24-hour period, okay? So we made this transition, but within the transition, there were not options, meaning we're going to do this and we're gonna pull you along with us. But you don't, just because you're uncomfortable with it doesn't mean you have the choice not to do it. But we're going to try to make it as comfortable as possible. So for example, in his case, Keegan's favorite meal when I met him was macaroni and cheese. He used to have like a box of macaroni and cheese all the time. If we'd go out on a date, or if we'd leave the house, or like we'd need a quick dinner, macaroni and cheese out of a box was his thing. So for a long time, when we made the transition to healthy eating, we would sort of compromise in terms of making it comfortable for him. So if we went out, we would maybe get him a box of gluten-free macaroni and cheese. So there absolutely 100% can be a transitionary process, but still he could have said, hey, and he probably did at some point. Hi, Lindsay. He probably could have said, hey, this isn't quite as good, and then had a fit and said, I want the regular because this isn't what I'm used to. But it didn't matter, okay? This is what we were doing, and because I value my health and because I love him and value his health, I do not think it's acceptable to say, this is unhealthy for my body, oh, but it's okay if you eat it. To me, in my mind, that's not good parenting. I mean, at least in my house, I don't think that that's caring for my child to give him something that I think is unhealthy, period. End of story. Why? Because I value his health. I value his brain, his ability to function properly at school without being hyperactive, without being cranky, without being moody, without being tired. I value his future. I don't want him to be 18 and all of a sudden wake up and be like, crap, I have to get healthy. I want him to be healthy through high school, get all the good grades that he wants, be active, and achieve anything that he wants in life so that as an adult, he has whatever opportunities he wants. So while he's in my house, It is my job to mentally, physically, and spiritually prepare him for those things. And that means that I have to give him the food and the nutrients and the mentality and the lifestyle that sets him up for success. And frankly, taking him to McDonald's every day is not going to do that. So I would encourage you to look into this a little bit. And I'll just give you a quick example. Hi, Casey. Let's give you a quick example of some changes that we saw in Keegan right away. He has never officially been diagnosed. He's never officially had a food sensitivities test. This is all through personal experimentation and decisions based on research and our own understanding. I told Keegan recently though, hi Jennifer, that we have enough anecdotal evidence over the course of the past 7 years in his life that I am 100% convinced he has a gluten sensitivity. And this is why. Within about 2 weeks, I just want to kind of share, like when I met him, he was a little bit spoiled. And this is not, I'm not trying to say anything bad about Patrick. Patrick is the most amazing parent ever, but he was a single parent at the time, and that's just hard. It just is. And Keegan had been through a lot, and so he's a little bit spoiled. And he also had sort of this dark cloud and this tendency to be negative, to be angry, to have outbursts, all these different things. Hi, Matt. And so, this was concerning, obviously, as a non-biological parent. I'm coming into the situation thinking, oh, heck no, we got to fix this. I'm not going to have, these outbursts. I'm not going to have, this depressive kid. I'm not going to have, all this kind of stuff. And so one of the things we recognized within a few weeks of having him go gluten-free is that his attitude was better. And consistently throughout the past 7 years, anytime he has cheated or has gone somewhere and had some cake at a birthday party or has gone somewhere unsupervised and come back, we've pretty much spot on been able to tell that he has had sugar or gluten or whatever outside of the home, hi Melissa, because he will get tired, cranky, and moody. And sometimes he'll get headaches or stomach aches as well. And so I'm typically able to go right away, what did you eat in the past 48 hours? So I would highly encourage you to just make it happen in your house and observe the reaction. And everybody is different. For some kids, it's going to be acne. So especially during their teenage years and especially during puberty, when all of these things are changing, navigating their diet and kind of dialing in on nutrition for them can help their weight, can help their mood, can help their hormones stay stabilized, can help their attitude. I mean, it can help their skin, obviously. And so if you're able to sort of get through this process at an age where they're very malleable and they're under your supervision, then navigating puberty and getting into adulthood in a healthy way is going to be so much easier than coming home when they're 16 and saying, oh, I'm going to try this. Now, there's nothing wrong with that either. That's just going to take a completely different approach. And most of the women that I work with have young children. And so this is sort of who I'm talking to right now. When you have young children, just pushing through, and don't say it's okay for you to do something that I can't do. It's okay for you to stuff your face with donuts, but mommy's on a diet. That's not okay. If it's not healthy for your body, it's not healthy for their body. And just because they are young and have a great immune system and can recover more quickly than you can, that's the worst excuse in the world, because you're just setting them up to have the bad immune system, the lack of energy, everything that you struggle with as an adult. If you don't help them make these changes as a child, they're going to be you in 10 years. They're going to have these problems. So it's only fair that you train them mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually to rise to the level of valuing themselves. Hi, Alicia. So that's how we do it in our house. We say, this is what we're having, and this is the option. If you don't want to eat it, you don't have to eat it, although we do try to please finish your dinner. But if you're going to have leftovers, that's your next meal, right? So a couple things that you can do to make this a little bit easier in your house, as opposed to going completely black and white 24 hours. You can do a little bit of transition. So like I said, we initially started with, okay, you love macaroni and cheese. We're going to switch over to gluten-free macaroni and cheese. And then just over time, we started getting away from that. But another thing you can do is look up recipes and look up things that are similar enough that your kids are going to love and not even notice the difference. You may, depending on their age, be able to completely change the food in your household without them even knowing it. So you could actually just do it, and if they're like 2, 3, 4, they're not gonna know, right? You're more likely to get a little resistance if they're like 10 to 14, right? They're gonna be like, hey, what's this? Like, why isn't the bread in the house anymore? But one of the ways to sort of navigate this without them really resisting is to make sure there is food in the house that they're going to like. So here's a couple tips of things that we really like to have that you might enjoy as well during your transitionary period or forever. So I've noticed with Keegan, and this can be per child, this might be a boy thing, this might be an adolescent thing, who knows? He really likes crunchy salty, okay? Now, like I said, he was raised on Cheez-Its, he was raised on pretzels, he was raised on Goldfish, so it only makes sense that what he associates with comfort and happiness is salty crunchy. Now, I don't know exactly if that's where it is from, but that's what he likes. If there's a bag of chips in the house, that is what he's gonna go for every single time. And it's like, please, can you focus on some fruits and vegetables? But again, another goal is to, it's not always to be 100%, but it's to be better. It's to avoid the worst and get as close to the best as you can. And so some of the things that we'll bring into our house are sweet potato chips. So you can do sweet potato chips that are cooked in avocado oil or coconut oil, things like that. So that's something that a lot of kids are not gonna be like, where are the potato chips? If they have access to something that's crunchy and salty and delicious, it's not gonna bother them as much that it's a little different. Also, there are some brands like Simple Mills, and they make crackers that are phenomenal, and they come in a lot of different flavors. And if you really want, this isn't their best one, but if you really want to go through that transitionary period and get something that tastes familiar, they do have a cheese cracker. So if you're trying to switch over from Cheez-Its, if that's something they're really addicted to, you can switch over to Simple Mills cheese crackers. But these are made with things like cassava flour and almond flour and tapioca and things like that. So not wheat flour, not refined sugar, not all these things that are going to spike your blood sugar and cause the brain fog and the moodiness and all these different issues. The other thing that's really, really helpful with kids, because a lot of times what they're going to miss is the sweets, is to find a brownie recipe or a chocolate chip cookie recipe that you can keep either in the fridge or in the freezer or whatever for these situations where they really just need something. Okay, and so I like to recommend Against All Grains Real Deal Chocolate Chip Cookies. Now again, typically when you are full force into eating real food, whole foods, this is still a treat, right? But for kids, this is a really great way to convince them that eating healthy doesn't have to taste bad. Real Deal Chocolate Chip Cookies from AgainstAllGrain.com taste like Toll House cookies, but without any of the garbage. I mean, they are truly, I've given them to kids, I have given them to guests in my home, and everybody loves them. People ask for the recipe. It's the #1 recipe that I recommend for people trying to change their diet, because you can realize that just switching the ingredients makes a huge difference, but you don't have to miss out on some of your favorite things. The other thing I recommend is to find a good brownie recipe, because everybody loves brownies. I don't know if it's like, for an after-school treat, or if it's like everybody's used to having a brownie on their birthday, whatever it is. Typically, brownies are one of those things that everybody really wants a good recipe for. So I recommend a few, but one of them that I recommend, hi Brianna, hi Jessica, one of them that I recommend is Elena's Pantry. And she has some great brownie recipes on there. And these can be made with, hi Rebecca, these can be made with chickpeas, they can be made with almond butter, they can be made with bananas, they can be made with all sorts of different ingredients, not wheat flour, not refined sugar, and still taste super chocolatey, super amazing. But you're not going to have the mood swings, you're not going to be breaking out, you're not going to have the weight loss resistance, you're not going to have all these issues that we're finding with gluten, with sugar, with all these food sensitivities that our kids are now having. So, like I said, my approach is very polarizing. I do not let my child have an opinion when it comes to what I serve for dinner. And if he doesn't like it, it doesn't matter, because I know that I am setting him up for success, and I am doing what is best for him. And just as a reminder for most of you out there, If they're hungry enough, they will eat. It's okay. I think we are so paranoid about about hunger in our society. Like, we cannot go hungry. Like, we don't know, because we are so blessed. We do not know what it's like to skip a meal. But we also forget that we're not gonna die if we skip a meal. If you skip like an entire week, but fasting, actually, there's so many different benefits for that. Like, we're so used to not skipping a meal and not feeling hunger that the concept of skipping and the idea of fasting is super scary, but it's not. And there are actually some benefits for your body. I'm not saying to starve your children. Please do not message me and be like, I can't believe you're telling me to starve my kids. I'm not saying that, okay? I'm just saying, if they're hungry, they will eat. And if it's broccoli that you put in front of them, if they are hungry, they will eat that food. But you can make it easier with some yummy transition foods like the crackers, like the chips, like the cookies, like the brownies, and say, hey, you can have this cookie that I know you love so much if you eat this broccoli first. So, tap into their motivation a little bit. If your kids are old enough that they have life goals, tap into those. If they're not, just work on their mentality, lead by example, and do what you think is best for your children. Again, I'm never one to tell you how to raise your kids, but this is just how we do it in my house, and I wanted to share. So I hope that's been helpful. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Also, I've been getting a lot of questions recently, and I'm going to answer them all in my Stop Dieting and Live Your Life free Facebook group. So if you're interested in getting more videos about questions that you have asked me, they're going to be short. I'm going to answer 1 or 2 questions at a time, and there's going to be a lot of them in the next couple weeks. So pop on over to Stop Dieting and Live Your Life, and I will start uploading those soon. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.